Guys, my name is Gino Bendazoo, and my topic today is going to be racing the speed limit. I wanted to go through, with you guys through a couple ideas and points as to why it's a good idea to actually raise the speed limit as opposed to lowering the speed limit like most people would actually think. Um, the main thing really is going to come down to the 85th percentile rule. And the 85th percentile rule is a rule that Highway Safety Administration actually goes by. I'm sure you guys have seen this before. As you're driving through the road, you'll usually see big, thick gauge wires laying across the road. And then about another 200, 250 feet down the road, you'll see the same kind of wire laying then again. And what that is actually sensors that allows the Highway Safety Administration to go and see how fast you're going, how populated that road is, how condensed and congested it can get sometimes, how populated it is, the average speed, all that stuff gets told to them through those wires. But the time they're done, they can usually go and lay everything down nice to nice section, and they'll usually just pick the top 85 speeds. And that is what the term 85th percentile comes from. So they usually just round to the nearest fifth mile, meaning if the 85th percentile average came down to be about 58 miles an hour, they'd go and round it to 60 miles an hour. If it was, 62, they'd round it down to 60. So they kind of go through all that kind of stuff as far as how to determine the speed limit. So really, we as the general public are the ones to decide how fast the speed limit is to a point. The other thing is, it doesn't really matter in a sense, to put it bluntly or anything, but it doesn't really matter what the sign says for us. And I'm sure, again, you guys may have caught yourself even doing this. You're driving down the highway. It says 45 miles an hour. You think you're going 45 miles an hour because we're all very good law-abiding citizens that don't want to get in trouble. And you just happen to catch a glimpse of your speedometer and you see, oh, you're going 65. And that's not saying that you are consciously trying to rebel against authority or that you have complete disregard for anybody's life and safety. It's actually opposite. What it actually means is that you are driving at a speed that you yourself, either subconsciously or consciously, believe that is perfectly fine and acceptable because of visual cues. That's how we kind of determine how fast we think we should be going. While we're driving down the road, we like to use standstill objects as visual cues to tell us, hey, you're going too fast, or try to speed it up a little bit. The more condensed the area is around you with standstill objects like trees, signs, buildings, whatever, the better it'll guide you to be able to tell you how fast you're going. That's also one of the reasons why we tend to go subconsciously slower in suburban areas than on highways. Highways usually don't have a lot of trees, a lot of standstill objects that you can use to judge your speed, whereas suburban areas, back roads, things like that, have a lot of trees, have a lot of signs, have a lot of houses, parked cars. That's why we go slower. We feel like we should stay at a slower speed to stay more in control in case of anything happens. The other thing that needs to be accounted for is the fact that technology has advanced exponentially in the past couple decades, really. Whereas speed limits have stayed pretty much the same within the 5-mile range, technology has just skyrocketed through. Take Tesla, for example, they're a leading giant in the autonomous driving and self-driving vehicles right now. And they have sensors, they have programs in their cars that you can put your car while you're driving down the highway at 60 miles an hour, put it in autopilot, and the car will actually start reading the little white line in the road. It'll keep you in your lane at a speed that is deemed reasonable. You'll speed up if the car in front of you speeds up. You'll slow down if the car in front of you slows down automatically. If it gets to a point where it's a bit of a standstill, it can actually go as far as to even change lanes for you, depending if it's safe, if it can, if it's safe to do so or not. A lot of those cars are actually even better at stopping than you are, to the point where they actually read ahead of the road again with sensors and cameras, see if there's any objects oncoming or if there's anything that's about to jump in front of you. And before you can even react to it, the car itself will actually hit the brakes on its own. Which is one of the reasons why insurance on those cars that have those autonomous braking and self-driving technology is so cheap, because the chances of it getting in an accident are just about null. There's no, it's near impossible. There's also more airbags and way engine mounts. There's just not just sensors wise. There's a bunch of other mechanical safety features in the car that's meant to help you and pedestrians and bystanders, people around you as well. It's not just sensors. The other thing that needs to be addressed really is national speed limits. Wasn't really a thing until about 1974, during the Nixon administration, during the Vietnam War. And in order to conserve fuel and raw materials like rubber as well for the troops, the Nixon administration decided that it'd be a great idea to instill a nationwide speed limit. Now, most states at this time, again, were acting kind of like their own small republic, and they didn't want anything to do with that. So Nixon said, well, either you guys abide by the rules and set a nationwide speed limit of, I think, 70 miles an hour, or we just don't give you any money for the roads, because it's our roads as well. So they kind of just extorted the states to go and set a nationwide speed limit, try to save fuel and rubber, which would kind of make sense, except it didn't really work. If I remember correctly, the most they ended up saving was only like 1% of fuel economy. That's it. Didn't do much. It didn't really do anything as far as saving fuel and rubber for the troops. People were still burning gas. I mean, it's big V8 motors, so it's not really going to do much. Even now with turbocharged motors, it's even more fuel efficient. So again, there's no point to having such a low speed limit. The other thing is really it creates a inert fear, in essence, against cops. If you drive on the highway, you see a cop, you instinctively reach for your brake pedal. It's just, even if you're not speeding, you'll still just hover your foot across the brake pedal, and that can be dangerous during harsh weather conditions. You could tap your brakes at the wrong time and lose control. Your car's tires lock up, you slide off. That's why a lot of times you actually don't see cops out during snowstorms, because they don't want to be there when it's cold. They're nice and warm in their cars. They just don't want people getting in an accident because they'll tap their brakes at the wrong time. Hopefully this has given you a bit more of an insight as to why we should raise the speed limit instead of lowering it. It's time to go into the future. We are in the future, and the current speed limits are in the past, unfortunately. So thank you for watching. Hope you learned, and I hope you are now a bit more pro speed